Hey, this is Carrie from Wrap Your Head Around Silks. This is the Expecting Aerialist podcast with the Digent Podcast Network. How's it going, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in. I thank you, the worldwide Aerialist family, for listening and keeping this podcast alive. This is the summer of 2026. We are in our 6th season and have a lot of great stuff coming up. Number one, coming into Houston in July. We're doing the Texas Aerial Gathering here in San Antonio in August. I'm hitting Dallas Circus Center December 5th and 6th, and then NECA, the New England Center for Circus Arts, in January again. If you are wanting to do an online course with me, I have Aerial Rehab, a comprehensive beginner to intermediate course, and a free mini course in case you want to just check out my style. Go to my website for that. Go to the show notes for all those links. And I'm so excited to be here, you guys. Let's get started. Hey, Tran.
Good morning, Carrie. How's it going?
Oh, not bad at all. I was just looking at the Facebook messages that we had, and you're a contortion coach?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. And you're also pregnant right now.
Yeah. Let's see how pregnant I look today. That pregnant?
Yeah. How far along are you?
I'm 31 and a half weeks in.
Oh, wow. So you're kind of almost there.
Yep. I am very excited to be done being pregnant.
Okay. Are you one that doesn't enjoy a pregnancy, or is it this pregnancy?
It's this pregnancy. So I don't know if you know anything about Arizona or like Southern Arizona, but that's where I live. And it was 112 degrees yesterday.
Oh my God.
And I have a 2-year-old toddler. So running around in the heat is just not the best thing when you're this pregnant.
And so are you guys trying to stay indoors all the time? Is that hard to do?
It's really challenging to do, especially because my toddler's so active.
Wow. Okay. And you're a full-time stay-at-home mom?
Yep. With many side hustles and hobbies.
Yes, as we all are. Okay. Tran, if you would introduce yourself to the audience, a little bit about what you do, your life stage right now, and then we'll jump in.
Right on. So I go by Bendy Educator on social media, but my name is Tran, and I've been a contortionist and aerialist for the past 12 years or so. But I started athletic arts like circus after I graduated college. I actually had some friends who were over at my house for a Super Bowl party, and they said, wow, look at this silks class going on tomorrow. So I took that as an invitation to go, but surprise, surprise, they've actually never tried circus before. But I went to the first silks class the day after the Super Bowl and fell in love instantly. And of course, as any aerialist, you find one thing, silks, and then you're like, but what if I try lyra and then trapeze, and then, oh, now I can do all the flexible things, but there's contortion. So I was drawn to do all the things. And I think that's one of my favorite parts about circus, where you think you're really good and then there's something else out there. My issue was where I was training in Tucson, Arizona, there isn't like a contortion coach in town. And I sought out all the best resources I could at the time, back in like 2014, 15, 16, of how to get better instructions, what to even do. And I just kind of fell into a rabbit hole where contortion is a little bit more niche. And of course, during the pandemic, instruction for contortion became so much more accessible. But up until then, I had to drive to different workshops or go to a different state and find an instructor, or do virtual lessons, which weren't as common back in the aughts. So I started working under the guise of Bendy Educator, realizing that I can have a bigger reach than just me and my name. And my goal is to make sure that people of all stages of their life can safely train contortion and get quality education. My background myself is I got my first degree in music education, and I've been working with kids like 3 through high school coaching, well, teaching music, but also coaching color guard, which I don't know if you know what that is, but
It's
it's
all the flags.
basically the marching band
Yeah.
version of poi. But I really fell in love with just movement, performance, and ultimately that's what drew me to circus because I did spend my high school and college years performing in a color guard and a winter guard.
So, but did you have like a flexibility practice before when you were, or did you start contortion as an adult?
I started contortion as an adult.
Wow, that's hard to do.
Yeah, I did take some dance classes in college because I was criticized for being stiff and inflexible. So I kind of had a fire under my ass to be like, oh, I have to like get flexible somehow. And I took some dance classes through the community college where like you see them 3 times a week. So you're obviously doing more and stretching and doing those things. So I found that leg flexibility for me was really easy, but there wasn't a lot of information on back bending and like chin stands and contortion handstands, aside from the yoga communities around the town that they were like, well, this is fun, you should try this without any like pedagogy or scaffolding or building of a foundation or anything.
So, how did you go from just being a flexibility practice to a contortion practice as an adult? Because that's like a bridge that you have to gap. You know what I'm saying? You have to bridge the gap somehow. How did you do that?
At first, a lot of it was I'm going to consume all the resources I can, buy all these ebooks, get all these guides, attend these like workshops that I can, but then there's only a certain amount where you can get information that isn't customized to your body. So I started training online with my very first contortion coach, Michael Walters. I think it was 2016 or 2017. And then I found other coaches that would travel to Arizona and I would attend their workshops to like continue to learn and grow and practice on my own. And I had a friend who had trained contortion elsewhere who would give me tips and tricks every now and then, but it wasn't like a master class or a workshop or anything. It was really cool when there was a traveling circus ensemble going through town. They do this every year, and I got to work with Elena Sanders. She's based out of Las Vegas right now, but it was just so nice to even see a contortionist in person and get the instruction. And that was what made all of my education so much more valuable, getting that hands-on feedback from a contortionist and not just a yoga guru who like wasn't talking to me directly.
Okay. So when you're in these back bends or chest stands, like where did you start from? Like where was your flexibility starting from?
I could have at the point of like actually starting contortion, I could have a pretty close open split.
Okay.
I didn't know what square was at the time. And middle splits was something that I could get into cold. But back bends was very foreign. I actually, one reason why I coach contortion now is because I feel like I did all the wrong things when I was learning on my own. And I wanted to kind of prevent other people from going down the same routes of like, oh, yes, stretch your lower back more. You don't need strength and all of these things that got me injured. And I didn't realize that I just overused my lower back and I had so much more mobility that I didn't even have access to until I learned more about it. So my hope is to educate others on best practices to sustainably train, especially because I started as an adult.
Yeah, I love this. Okay, so this pregnancy, was it planned?
This was a planned pregnancy, yes.
Okay, so, and you have a 2.5-year-old. You wanted your kids to be kind of close in age.
I did, and it just worked out timing wise. Like, I feel like with my education, my husband's work, this would be the perfect time frame. And surprisingly, one try and we got it pregnant. So
Oh, wow. Okay. And wow, 2.5. 2.5 is that age is really wonderful. And it's also like you're running after a kid.
all the time.
All the time. Okay. How is the first trimester?
The first trimester, so the second pregnancy is different feeling than my first pregnancy, although my husband notes that, oh, this sounds like the exact same thing that you dealt with when you were in your first, second, and third trimester the first time, but it feels so different when you can't have horizontal time and lay down and rest because you're chasing a toddler. But first trimester, I was very nauseous the whole time, and I didn't want to eat anything, even though I was really hungry. And if I wanted to eat something, my cravings would change the moment I had the food in my hands. So it was really hard to have enough energy to do the things I wanted to do. But I was pleasantly surprised that I was able to continue training because during my first pregnancy, we all know about the hormone relaxin and how it's very non-specific. It helps you during birth, which is great, but it can also be in your fingers. It can affect your feet. It can affect so many aspects. And during my first pregnancy, first trimester, it made my ribs like really loose. So anytime I tried to do any warm up to train back bends, I would pull a rib. And I knew I had to stop training back bends specifically earlier on. However, this pregnancy in my first trimester, I am able to do so much more and have so much more control, and I haven't pulled anything yet, knock on wood.
Okay, so you're just having better luck, basically, this time around. Yeah. Okay, so what would your list of advice be for women who want to continue training contortion during pregnancy?
When I initially asked my doctor, which they don't know to what extent I do backbending or contortion or handstands, but their biggest advice was don't do anything that would put immediate impact on the baby. So if I'm doing a handstand and I know I'm going to fall out, then don't do that. But my general advice is understand what your baseline is pre-pregnancy and don't try to exceed that. Pregnancy is a really great time to train your active flexibility, your end range strength, because your body is going to become more unstable just due to the weight gain that you have being pregnant and like getting more of a belly and like your breast getting larger and for me even my booty getting bigger. So there's going to be a lot of instability due to growing a second human, but what we can do is we can train active flexibility to make sure we keep the strength. Relaxin, that hormone that makes everything relax, makes stretching easier. However, with any contortion practice, pregnant or not, if there's a huge gap between the active range and your passive range, that's where the injuries come in. So being pregnant has moments of not being fun, nausea, morning sickness, just aches and pains. So we want to continue staying injury-free when we are training. But don't expect your baseline to be the same as someone else's baseline. And also each pregnancy can be really different. My first pregnancy, I had basically de Quervain syndrome or mommy's thumb when I was pregnant, not even after having a baby, but I just couldn't handstand as much, which was really upsetting. But I like taped my hand, did some physical therapy, and every now and then could hand balance. But this pregnancy, I can handstand, no pain, no nothing. So I guess understand where your baseline is, but also listen to your body in terms of, okay, is this a painful sensation? Do I feel pain in like my pelvic area, or is there extensive stretching on the front side? So being pregnant, like, I guess one thing I forgot to mention is I recently graduated with my biomedical engineering degree. So that's what I did while I was pregnant with my first kid and finished up with the second kid. But I worked on my capstone project was 3D printing of hernia mesh, which a hernia mesh is basically what you use to cover up the separation in your abdominal wall. And when we get pregnant, people think of the term like, oh, your abs separate. And it's very different than a hernia in the sense of like a hernia, like there's a tear that you have to repair so that your abs don't like protrude through. But in flexibility and pregnancy, like you have this linea albia, which is like tissue, and it elongates. It's not necessarily tearing, but it is separating. And what people think can cause that separation has been studied scientifically, clinically, through a lot of research more heavily recently. And it's really interesting that there isn't a direct correlation of like that coning and doming and separation causing postpartum issues if you have strategies like managing the amount of pressure you have around it, because that's just your body's way of saying, hey, we're using too much of this area. How can we get other muscles to work? Well, I guess that also ties into contortion training. When you feel discomfort or pain in one area, it's probably an overuse of some sort. So what other muscles surrounding that area can you call in to help stabilize your body to better work so that you don't cause any discomfort or pain? I feel like that was a workaround to your original question.
For those women out there who are concerned about diastasis recti and making it worse through their stretching, what would you say?
It's a really exciting time to see research and be a scientist, because there's a lot more research done on women specifically, and even women in sports. I think circus research has some more time to become more fruitful, but it's really cool to see that, I guess, what's the other way of saying this? You can still safely train if you're not feeling like any like excessive pulling or tearing on the front side of your body for like baby specifically. But it's much more possible to do a lot more things if you think about where your baseline is. And if I'm doing, let's say, a back bend and I feel my lower back, which whether you're pregnant or not, you may feel, what's a better way to distribute that load? Can I use more of my hip flexors? Can I use more of my upper or mid back flexibility? So that's one modification you can do in your training. And if that modification doesn't help, then you can kind of table that skill. And throughout any pregnancy, the levels of hormones change a lot. So one phase you get more estrogen, more progesterone, and they affect your body differently for baby building and birthing purposes. So it doesn't mean a skill is completely off the table, but find different ways to modify. Look above and below in terms of muscle. So if I'm working on my middle splits and I feel too much in I guess a front split would be a better example. I'm working on my front split and I feel so much in my front hamstring. How can I modify that so I feel a stretch somewhere else? Can I use more of my hip flexor? Can I use more props to help stabilize me so that my muscles can work effectively instead of letting all of the pressure dump into tendons and ligaments, which just become more relaxed throughout this phase of pregnancy? But there's ways to definitely modify what you're doing, decrease the weight or resistance that you're using. I use a lot of props and bands and blocks in my practice because I teach almost exclusively online now, and props are the next closest thing to a coach. Like, oh, here's this little poke on the side of the hip with this band that's equivalent or as close as I can get to like a tactile cue of like touching the hip. But don't be afraid to use props when you're training. They aren't a sign of weakness, and as you work towards building more strength and flexibility, it's actually quite helpful to have props give you that tactile feedback. Yeah, so modify the stretch so that you feel it somewhere else, decrease load or resistance, and adding props to help build stability in the body so that your muscles are the things doing the work and not overloading tendons and ligaments would be my main modifications for training while pregnant.
I love this. Okay, so you are 30 some weeks. Do you have a birth plan?
I have a birth plan. However, it's currently in the works of changing in terms of the provider that I'll be working with. But I would love to have a natural second birth and use induction if I go past 40 or 41 weeks, and ideally be not too early. Not that I can do anything when the baby has its own timeline. But using an epidural if needed, which during my first pregnancy, I was going to go without any medicated birth. And then I realized once I was 4 centimeters dilated that, oh, this is supposed to get significantly more intense and frequent, and I don't know if I can handle that.
Okay, so you ended up with an epidural the first pregnancy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying you would like to have a vaginal delivery, but you are open to an epidural.
Yes.
Okay. And you didn't have a C-section the first time?
I did not, and I know that I need to be mentally prepared for that and understand what that could entail, because as much as we prepare as mothers, there's a lot of variables that are out of our control. So the more that you can be aware of it, the less stressful the birth can be.
Absolutely. Okay, so are you still in the air right now?
I am not in the air, mostly due to not wanting to drive across town to train with a toddler, but not necessarily because I don't feel like I'm currently able to.
So it's just hard to get to the studio, basically. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. I always say to my friends who are having a second child when they have a toddler, you guys are superwomen. I have no idea how you do it, because it's so different to be able to just take a nap whenever you're tired versus where you're at right now.
I feel like the quote unquote safe amount of caffeine I consume is not nearly enough caffeine to get me through the day.
Yeah. Are you just sleepy sometimes?
I think when I do get tired, now that I'm done with school, I'm able to take a few more naps with my toddler, but there's just so much stuff that I want to do that require me to be toddler free. I'm working on this engineering project, and here's this research project that I'm working on that is just challenging to do as a stay-at-home parent with the toddler that wants your full attention.
Yeah. So so you're not going to be in a place where you're going to get nannies and daycare and all that stuff for you to get your work done?
At this moment, it's just me and the occasional grandparents, my in-laws, watching my daughter.
Okay.
But it's also challenging because they live about an hour away.
Okay, so it's not the easiest drive-in. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, would you have any advice for the women going through pregnancy right now?
I think twofold. One is on the mental side of things, and one is on the physical side of things. Mentally, if you don't feel like stretching, if you don't feel like training, contortion and inversions and handstands, it's okay. You're busy building a tiny human, and that takes a lot of energy and on the other side of that, if training is a huge part of your mental health, try to do something. It might just be I'm going to work on my active leg lifts, or I'm going to be conditioning my back, or I'm going to do like my active overhead shoulder mobility drills to help you feel better about moving. And movement is just so important. It makes you happier, just in general. It releases all these hormones. On the physical side of things, if I have a 2 block oversplit, don't push for 3 block oversplit at the moment. Work on strengthening your legs so that you can maintain that range postpartum, but also so that you have the strength to support all of the relaxin hormones in your body. And I found so many modifications using yoga blocks, yoga balls, straps, bands, the wall, the chair that can help you be more stable. For example, if you're doing a lunge with a back bend, you can have a wall by your side to help stabilize your shoulder. If you're doing a cobra, one block setup that I got from a student actually was to angle 2 yoga blocks, kind of like a triangle right by my hip bones, so that my belly isn't touching the ground. There's a lot more space. Like, it's totally doable, and I didn't even realize I could still train my cobras while I was pregnant during my first pregnancy. So I think that was just a really cool discovery of like, oh, this is a modification that works, so that there's space for my belly. If you want to work more inversions, can you safely come out of it every single time? I think that's the most important thing when I'm handstanding. Like, all right, I can do this double stag as well as split shape in a handstand or an elbow stand. And I know that my proprioception when both legs are overhead are a lot different. So I'm either going to train with a wall very close nearby in front of me as well as the side so that I can safely exit, or just not try it solo in the middle of the room. So being able to understand that as the body changes, you will have to change the support that you need, and it's okay, and it's great. But it's totally possible to continue training. You'll see a lot of Cirque du Soleil artists that are very inspiring who train up until the day that they're born. And I think the most important aspect is having the strength to control all of the mobility that you'll have. It also helps a lot to train active mobility for childbirthing purposes, because if you look at a pelvis, like the baby's head has to squeeze its way through the top of the pelvis and the bottom of the pelvis. So working on specific moves that require internal rotation and external rotation at the femur is going to be really helpful specifically for childbirthing purposes. And if you don't already have that like mobility practice in your body, if you expect to be able to do something like that while giving birth, it's going to be a lot more challenging to be able to think about those things when you are, experiencing the ring of fire during birth. But yeah, I think that would be my advice as someone who's been able to train contortion through my 3rd trimester currently.
Is there any poses or joints of the body that you have taken out of your practice?
This specific pregnancy, I have more pelvic pain. So I am just more wary that, all right, I'm strengthening. So my pelvic pain can happen either in the front or back of my body. So I know that means I have an imbalance or instability on the inner or outer parts of my legs. So I'm doing a lot more strengthening there, and I might not be able to hit the full expression of a splitty pose that I want, but I'm still building strength around that. And during my first pregnancy, I couldn't back bend or handstand because there was just like too much laxity in my joints to be able to do any of those things.
Okay. This is so informative. You're such a smarty. Oh my God, I love it. Tell me again. So did you get your master's in biomechanical?
So I have a second bachelor's in biomedical engineering.
Okay, got it.
I think from my first degree of music education, there was too much of a gap between what type of classes I would need in order to build towards a master that I went for a
second
bachelor's instead.
Oh my gosh.
It's been a lot of fun. I worked on 3D printing hernia mesh, and I guess a very exciting thing for the community is we're presenting at the National American Hernia Society Association on that next month, and I'll also be listed as an inventor on a patent for 3D printed hernia mesh.
Oh my God, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a big deal. Wow.
So I just love the body and like finding engineering solutions to make things possible, whether it be inside the body, outside the body, training systems. It's just so much fun to have that mindset of how can I make this work better or more effectively?
You're so good. Have you ever done a podcast?
I have not.
Oh, great job.
Thanks. I spent like a decade in education.
Yeah, so you're
being
used
a performer.
Yes. It's just another performance of.
Sweet.
Right,
I just think it's really cool what you're doing with the podcast.
Thanks.
Because you have a lot of episodes that I like have pinned and saved, and just so many cool guests. And two of them have been people that I know of.
Who?
I've worked with. Alicia Lloyd.
Oh, okay, nice.
And then Christy Jung. I don't know how to say her last name.
Straps girl.
Yep.
Okay, nice. Oh my God, I know. There's a lot of episodes now. I've been doing it for 6 years, coming up on 7 next year. So
what keeps you going?
Oh my God. It's not so hard for me to do podcasts because I love talking to people. Like it's really easy for me to get on these calls. Mm-hmm. But I'm currently going through menopause and it is sucking the life out of me. And that's the part that's really challenging right now because I have been in and out of wanting to go back to sleep all morning because I didn't sleep well last night. And then you texted me. I was like, oh my God, it's 11:30. My time.
I was like, I'll reach out just in case. I haven't heard anything. I feel like for someone doing that many podcasts.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of communication and I don't do a lot of prep for these things. So your instinct was right. But yeah, I was like, oh my God, it's 11:30 my time. I got to go upstairs and get my computer on because I'm just I don't sleep through the night. And then my daughter wakes me up. She's like, I'm hungry. I'm like, oh my God, I just need more sleep. Mm-hmm. But I'm getting through it.
Wow. Well, power to you. Thanks for making this happen. And I'm excited for other people to feel a little bit more confident about training flexibility.
Yeah, I love it.
It's so doable. And there's so many ways that you can modify, but I feel like it's less common now, like even a year, I guess it's been 2 years now since my low one, but people have been like, oh my gosh, how can you do that? Or I could barely stand when I was pregnant and you're doing handstands. I was like, well, I had a really high baseline. This is just maintenance right now.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the thing is, I'm sure you know already, these stories are kind of our only guidance because we're not getting guidance from doctors. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating. So I am not educating my doctor, but I'm sharing resources with them.
All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to my guests for carving out the time to be with me. If you would give me a review and smash that 5 stars, it really, really makes a huge difference in other people being able to find this podcast organically. So I thank you for that. Go to my show notes if you want to check the links out for anything, or if you'd like to sign up for any of my workshops coming up. I really appreciate you. If you'd like to be on this podcast, please DM me at CarrieWee1 on Instagram. I would love to highlight your story on this podcast. I want to get as many diverse stories as possible. All right, my friends, over and out. This is the Expecting Aerialist podcast, now with the Digitent Network.